What's up everyone, me JP2 here, and in today's video, I have a very fun Pokemon that I've been working on for almost half a year now. And that Pokemon is level 50 Fomantis. Now, Fomantis only hits 838 combat power, so this is probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done for Go Battle League. But I was really happy with how it performed, because, well, only being this high of a combat power, it actually does tank a Hydro Cannon from Swampert, albeit not very well, it's like 75% of its health. But it actually does end up beating Swampert in all even shield scenarios, which is hilarious in my opinion. And it just was very fun to use. Now, to round off the team, I paired it up with Talonflame, because I need something that can hit like ice types and steel types and stuff for super effective. And I also had Lurantis, so I made an ABB style team for this. So hopefully I can use Lurantis to bait out whatever their response to a grass type is, and then maybe Fomantis has a chance of Razor Leafing down whatever they have in the back. Anyways, that's about it. Let's get into the battles. Alright, so hopping into the first battle, we lead Talonflame into Walrein. This is a very neutral lead, because both Pokemon are going to be hitting each other for neutral. So it's kind of boring, but the Walrein's going to go for an Icicle Spear, and I'm going to go for an extra Incinerate because I don't want to throw an alignment. So I can go for the Flame Charge. They shield it, probably thinking it was the Brave Bird. And I'm going to be over-farming, and I decide I'm just going to keep over-farming. I'm going to shield the Icicle Spear, and then the opponent switches into Lantern. So we have a good counter with Lurantis. So there's not much they can really do. So they're going to go for a Surf, and they're not going to be doing a lot of damage with Surf. And I can over-farm by a lot here. And now, I'm going to be winning CMP, and they should not be shielding this. They don't. And the opponent brings in Mandibuzz. And that's not good. Mandibuzz just... My Talonflame's not too healthy, so it's just kind of gonna destroy my backline if Talonflame can't take it out. I fortunately make it to a second superpower, but the opponent still doesn't have to shield this, and I can go for a Flame Charge. Now, the opponent shields this, but Talonflame, with my great IVs and the new mechanics, is actually able to make it to another Flame Charge. So we take him out. All they have left is the Walrein, and I don't remember how much energy they had, so it's all just whether or not they make it to a move, because Fomantis farms them down. Now, I had to run Razor Leaf on this thing. It learns Leafage or Fury Cutter, but it has no fast move pressure at all unless it has Razor Leaf, and it still doesn't have much if it does. Into the next battle, we lead Talonflame into Meganium. The opponent catches on to Graveler. I switch into Fomantis, and I should live a Rock Blast, right? Or a Thunderbolt, because it's resisted, right? No. The thing just dies. Anyways, we bring in Lurantis, and the opponent has Skarmory in the back. So, well, Lurantis is going to get wrecked by Skarmory, but both of their remaining Pokemon are weak to fire because the Graveler's gone. So now Talonflame just destroys both the Pokemon they have left. And on top of that, they shield the superpower. This is perfect because Talonflame should have some energy left. I think one Incinerate left of residual energy. So the opponent switches into Meganium, trying to catch a move. I decide to undercharge it, but it still takes him out. Thing about this is it's just an Incinerate farm down, and the opponent just quits. Next battle, we lead Talonflame into Mew. Mew's just kind of frustrating in my opinion, because I have no idea what it's running. Because if they're running Wild Charge or Surf, it can do a lot of damage. But if they're running like Flame Charge and another move, they might not be able to do anything. The opponent brings in Medicham, and I go for a Flame Charge. I was thinking this was a pretty safe shield by them, but they actually no-shield it. But they'll have to shield this one. So they do shield it, and I'm just going to stay in, try and make them go for a move. I do shield the Psychic, because I decided at the last second that I might actually be able to make it to another Flame Charge, and that should be able to do some decent damage. Now the opponent shields this, so I'm going to switch into Lurantis and catch the move, because I do want to preserve Talonflame, whether it be for a catch or because Incinerate damage, and the opponent switches into Alolan Sandslash. They didn't know. Hopefully they don't make this mistake twice, because their Sandslash just got nuked. They bring back in the Mew, and because we're debuffed, this Leaf Blade's not taking him out, but it should do some nice damage. Now, since they're in this health range, Talonflame will force them to throw, and after that, it's all up to Fomantis. So, we can bring in Fomantis, and the Mew gets farmed down, and we also farm down the Medicham, so we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Talonflame into Tropius, and this is a pretty good lead for Talonflame. The Tropius has to farm up to an Aerialist to do any meaningful damage, but they don't, which is kind of weird in my opinion, but it saves me a shield, so I'm fine with it. Now I farm up an extra Incinerate just to throw on good timing, and I go for a Flame Charge. Flame Charge doesn't take him out, so we get another Incinerate. The opponent then brings in Bastiodon, and Bastiodon just does well into my whole team simply because of the stat product total it has. So we managed to get 2 Incinerates plus a Flame Charge off, and that puts this into a pretty even range in terms of, like, health. So Bastiodon can go for a Flamethrower, but Lurantis should be able to make it to quite a few Leaf Blades. They might even shield this first one, and they do, so now we can go for a second one. They probably should not be shielding this one, and they don't. So I'm hoping I can make it to get a farm down, but they make it to a move, but that's quite alright. They go for a Flamethrower, we farm them down. In the back, they have Swampert, and look at this. This thing might be 838 combat power, but look at the Razor Leaf damage. And it tanks the Hydro Cannon, which is an added bonus. So we actually do take that game with Fomantis. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Talonflame into Lantern. Absolutely awful matchup, so we're going to switch into Lurantis. And they bring in the hardest wall to Lurantis, that is Golbat. Every single charged move that Lurantis runs, even the ones that I'm not even running right now, like I'm talking like X-Scissor and Leaf Storm and whatever, all of those are double resisted. So I'm glad I baited this out because Fomantis will not do anything into this thing. Now I'm going to no-shield the first move because if they go for a Poison Fang, it won't do too much. If they go for the Shadow Ball, it's not going to do too much either because of the debuff. So we can go for a Flame Charge. The opponent just lets it go. They bring in the Lantern, and we bring in Fomantis. And they're not switching out, and I had hoped that would mean they were weak in the back, but no. They have Trevenant, and there's just no way to win this game. It's just another alignment issue. Talonflame gets farmed down, and we lose that game. Hopping into the next battle, we lead Talonflame into Medicham. Fairly good lead. The opponent switches into Quagsire, and we can bring in Fomantis. Now, Fomantis, I feel like, should tank a Stone Edge from here, but it will not tank a Sludge Bomb. Fomantis gets nuked off the face of the earth. You can see a little grease spot where it used to be. And then the opponent brings in Walrein. Now, Walrein does get hit for super effective by Leaf Blade, which is nice, but honestly, they should have brought in the Medicham because Medicham gets destroyed by Talonflame. But I can hopefully make good off this opponent's misplay. So we can go for another Leaf Blade. They'll be shielding this. And now they actually do switch into the Medicham. I bank a Leaf Blade. And now this game's just over. I can Brave Bird the Medicham. And Lurantis wins CMP over Walrein. And even if we get the weird one-turn switch in, we have a shield. They're just going to have to make it to 2 Icicle Spears, but they'll still lose CMP on the second one. And they didn't even have an Icicle Spear, so that doesn't matter. So we just take them out with Leaf Blade, and we take that game. Core Breaker on the lead, we lead Talonflame into Pelipper. Now, this is very bad, because Lurantis is the only Pokemon that doesn't just get annihilated by Pelipper. I have to pray that they don't switch out, because they still have a pretty good matchup here, and they don't even shield the Leaf Blade. So it looks like there is hope in this match, but I do have to shield this move, because if it's Hurricane, I still lose. Now, they go for a Weather Ball bait. It's Pelipper, what did I expect? But they don't make it to another Hurricane, which is perfect. So now, I leave with a move, and they bring in a Carbink. I blind throw the superpower here, though, because I just saw the Rock type, but it's okay. They shielded it. So now, Carbink is doing more damage with, neutral Rock throws than we're doing with super effective Razor Leafs, and that's just because of how absurdly bulky Carbink is. Now, I know shield this foul play from the Sableye they bring in, because I know that Fomantis will not tank a charge move. So I go for a Flame Charge, and I'm barely able to outpace the Sableye. So now their Carbink is left without shields, and I have a shield, so hopefully Fomantis can put in some work. Now, I bring in Fomantis. I get the Razor Leaf through, which might have been game-winning, frankly. But I can shield the Rock Slide. Now, I farm as much as possible, and I'm going for a Leaf Blade at the last second. This is an 838 combat power Pokemon and a Carbink. Does it KO? It does. Anyways, next battle, we lead Talonflame into Marowak. And Marowak does destroy both of my Pokemon in the backline. But I go for the Incinerate instead of just throwing a move. And they throw an alignment. So all of a sudden, this is looking very good. Now I go for a Flame Charge bait. They were more likely to shield it because I've farmed up a ton. And now I am going for the Brave Bird. Now, if the opponent wants to double shield and take switch, they probably win. And they do. But Talonflame actually does live the 3 fire spins. I love my high IV Talonflame. It's very nice. So we go for the Brave Bird. It takes out the Marowak, and there's just almost no way for them to win this. They bring in Azumarill, but I can bring in Fomantis, and this is probably one of the most fun matchups I've ever had, because Fomantis has 2 shields to hide behind, and they're not even running Ice Beam. So now I can go for a Trailblaze to boost my attack, make these Razor Leaves do actual meaningful damage, maybe. Trailblaze takes out the Azu, and in the back they have Clefable, and Fomantis gets nuked, but that's quite alright, because Lurantis will be able to clean up the Clefable. Now this Leaf Blade I don't think takes him out, but we should be able to just Leafage farm him down. So 2 more Leafages takes out the Clefable, and we take that game. Hopping in the next battle, we lead Talonflame into Azumarill. Once again, pretty bad matchup. So I'm going to switch into Lurantis, and the opponent brings in some spice. They're running a Shiny Latios, and Lurantis actually does lose CMP, but they're not KOing us with the Dragon Claw. They will get a farm down, unfortunately, but they should probably not shield this because they know it won't KO. So now we don't make it to another move. That's alright. I have to bring in Talonflame, though, because Fomantis will get nuked by Dragon Breaths, but that's alright. So Talonflame, going to shield the Dragon Claw. I was shielding whatever they were throwing. I need to preserve HP. The opponent brings back in the Azu, and we actually get the fast move denial there. I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but it does mean we don't have to take a bubble after we were debuffed. So now the opponent is just going to try and farm up to a move on Azu, realizes they can't, so they bring in Lantern. So they have 2 shields here, so throwing a Leaf Blade is meaningless because they're going to shield anything. So it's actually better to go for the Trailblaze, because Trailblaze will boost our attack and do something. So now these Razor Leafs will do a lot more damage, but we still won't get a farm down. Fortunately, though, despite them having 2 water types, they're both low enough that Talonflame can take them both out with 1 Incinerate. So the opponent can bring in the Azu. They don't make it to a move, and we take that game. Hopping into the next battle, amazing lead. We lead Talonflame into Clefable. Now, if they're running Fairy Wind or Charm, and they're running Charm, well, they're going to be resisting it. So I'm going to farm up an extra Incinerate just so that I can throw on good timing. They're only going to get 1 free turn energy now. And so now I can go for another Incinerate and go for this Flame Charge, and this one's also on good timing. So this good timing means that it's going to be really hard for them to Charm farm me down. If they make it to a Meteor Mash, I'm shielding this, because I know that whatever they bring in is going to get hit by a double boosted Brave Bird, and they actually bring in a Medicham. And that Medicham was not long for this world. They bring back in the Clefable, I switch into Fomantis, and in the back they have Shadow Blossom, which is pretty cool, but Talonflame, even if it doesn't make it to a move, will still do massive damage with Incinerate, and we don't get the new mechanic there, but that's quite alright. We're still going to be able to take him out with a Leaf Blade. I think even though it's resisted, Leaf Blade will take him out because it's a Shadow, and it does. Hopping into what I believe is the final battle, we lead Talonflame to Jellicent. Pretty bad lead, but since we have an ABB style team, we're able to just switch out into Lurantis without any fear of having another Pokemon be able to take out our Grass type. Now, the opponent then switches into Galarian Stunfisk, and that's not an answer to Lurantis. Lurantis is actually going to probably be able to flip switch against Stunfisk. Like, I could just go for a superpower right now and flip it, so I'm going to actually just go for a Leaf Blade. I was thinking this opponent would probably think I was running Superpower, but they actually don't shield it. But now I just have to match shields, and I'll take Switch no matter what. So now I can match shields, leave with a Leaf Blade, and threaten whatever they bring in. They bring in the Jellicent, and they had a move. It's unfortunate. We'll be able to shield it, and I can throw 1 more Leafage, and now I'll go for a Leaf Blade. Now the opponent's pretty obviously going to shield it, but even though this is CMP, Lurantis wins it. So we're going to be able to take out the Jellicent. And in the back, they have Swampert. We bring in Fomantis. And once again, another Swampert quits. Overall, this is probably one of the worst ideas I've ever had. But I still had so much fun running Fomantis. And I was completely shocked when Leaf Blade, even though it was super effective, took out that Carbink. So I had a lot of fun running these battles. Now, I mainly ran Fomantis just to show some disrespect to the Swamperts that run rampant in the Great League. So I was happy with that. Because Fomantis actually does win every single shielding scenario against Swampert, even if it's down 2 shields, simply because Razor Leaf's so oppressive. So it actually is just a fun counter to Swampert that you're not going to see anywhere else. So I was really happy with Fomantis' performance, and also Lurantis did well. So this team, Fomantis and Lurantis, did very well for me, and I was happy for it. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.